That's fun.
Pretty strange.
That's strange, huh?
Welcome to the Earthborne Games. Welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Anders Carlson. Joining me today is... Let's take that from the top. Welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast. I'm your host, Anders Carlson. Andrew is not here today. He's busy getting the files off to Frank. But we are joined by Evan Simonette.
Hey, it's nice to be at the kids' table again.
Oh, the kids' table. Is this episode 3? Volume 3?
Yeah, 3 or 4 of the kids' table, I think.
And I think it's Maxine and Cory's first time at the kids' table.
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I guess so.
Does everyone understand the meaning of the kids' table?
I think I got it through context clues.
As like Trump is to MAGA, Andrew is our daddy.
Oh, God.
And he's not here tonight.
There's so much wrong with what just came out of your mouth.
This is already going full kids' table, yeah. I guess.
I'm just trying to put you at ease, Cory, by making it a sloppy mess.
Yeah. Throwing mashed potatoes around already.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Oh, good one, Evan.
Yeah.
Good tie into the kids' table.
Mm-hmm.
And also seated at this tiny fold-out table is Andrew Fisher.
Hello. Anders, how much of the recording before you said welcome to the Earthborne Games podcast are you going to include or not include?
I was thinking about keeping it all in there.
Yeah. Including your 2 takes?
Yeah, exactly.
All right, sweet.
I feel like that's the nature of the kids' table. And we're going around according to my screen. Next up is Anders Carlson. We already talked to him. And then we got Cory Devorey.
Yeah.
It's good to have you back.
Yeah,
I always like when you're on.
Well, I appreciate it. I like being on. I guess I'm not on enough sometimes.
No. And you know, not to put you on the spot, but I know you don't love to be on.
Mm-hmm.
But I think you're great at it. Was it that one guy that commented the first time you were on?
Oh, I mean that did bum me out, but I don't know. I don't know why I get nervous. I just have too much anxiety about everything all the time.
It's interesting because I think you're a great talker.
Yeah,
you are.
Hide it well.
Cory's great at this. You just can't, like, I think we were talking about this the other day. You just can't get nervous, Cory. You know?
Yeah,
it's like
just don't do it.
Yeah, the secret is
it's that simple. Don't be nervous. Don't be anxious. You know, fixed it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you have to do. So easy.
But no, it was like I guess we'll talk about this in your work stories a bit, Cory. But we were like, we were filming. And like we had to do a bunch of takes, and it's just kind of ironic because, like, you know, we were doing an activity that you have done probably hundreds of times and are very good at, right? And like it's your own brain, like, you know, messing up the takes, like in the same way. Sorry, we're airing your.
It's all good. I understand. I've done a lot of stuff like that, and then it's just funny. It's funny how we all get caught up in our heads,
right?
But much like Anders, you can just do a second take. The listeners will hear both. But
yeah, I was gonna say that it doesn't really count as a second take if you put it all in there.
What are you saying? Anders did a great second take. I can barely even remember the first.
A double take,
and it brings you down to earth. Because I know everyone listening to this, looks up to you. Great to have you back. And then we have Maxine.
Hello.
New mainstay. Hi, Maxine.
I'm used to being seated at the kids' table. Anytime that we had a family get together, even in my mid-20s, I was seated at the kids' table. It was absurd.
Did you choose it though? I
No.
kind of preferred it. Oh no,
I didn't.
Was your brother there too, or was it just you?
He would usually be seated next to me too, yeah.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I don't know.
I remember when I finally got to the adult table, and then I was like, this isn't as good as I thought.
It's kind of lame.
Yeah,
It's like really quiet, and everyone's just chewing, like, and for my family, the kids get the dark meat, and the adults eat all the white meat, and so the adults are just like chalking up turkey and drinking lots of water, and all the kids have all the good stuff, and so actually I just missed it.
Like, I don't know how familiar you guys are with Passover, but whenever we would have a Passover Seder, they have, like, the youngest child is supposed to recite a thing. It's like, why is this night different from all other nights, etc., etc. And I was the youngest for the longest time.
Oh, no.
For so long. It was just like, all right, here we go. Why is this night different from... And, so annoying.
Were you allowed
Anyway.
to recycle last year's?
Oh, it's the same thing every time.
Oh, you just
it's partially in Hebrew and partially in English.
Oh,
depending
it's just a thing.
I mean, we were reformed, so we did a lot of stuff in English. But if you were at a true Passover Seder, it would be entirely in Hebrew. Manashtana, halal, etc., etc.
Wow, you still got it.
I don't remember much of it.
I bet your second youngest cousin was very grateful for you.
Oh yeah. The gap between me and like the next youngest person in my extended family is like legit like 20 years.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Maybe not 20, maybe like 15, but still like a lot, you know. So and of course they can't do it when they're like 5, so you have to wait until they're like old enough. And then when I finally graduated away from like, yes, I don't have to do this anymore. Instead, I just get questioned about my career choices,
Right?
which is as fun.
By age, would you be reciting that on this podcast? Would you be the one to recite the why Earthborne Games is this night is?
Me.
I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be Cory.
I think
Yeah,
that'd be
it's
Cory.
Cory.
I'm a baby.
Cory,
Yeah.
you're gonna have to
Good night,
present.
Cory. I'll send you my hadaka.
It has to
Cory,
be
how
why
is this,
podcast
Cory, how is
night.
this podcast
Hadaka.
different than all others?
So I was trying to get out.
What do you mean? I don't know.
God.
And we
Wait,
just
right.
talked about Cory getting nervous, being put on the spot.
Yeah.
I know,
How
it's
is it
all we're
different
doing.
than all others. It's definitely the kids' table. That's how it's different.
Mhm.
I don't know.
The freewheeling nature of it all. Well, I think I can tease that we had a lot of teasers last episode. I think, is there teasers tonight? Did I hear mention of teasers?
We've got like, the pre-trailer teaser instead of the,
I hate those.
pre-trailer teaser.
Yeah.
It's coming.
Keep a secret. Keep a
We're
secret.
gonna announce an announcement at some point in the future.
We'll be
I can't
announcing.
wait. I eat that shit up, though.
It's true. Me too.
But as far as other news goes, we did push a backer update just a couple days ago as of airing. That's right, Cory. We put one out on Tuesday, right?
I believe so. Yeah. What is today? Wednesday. It
Wednesday.
went out yesterday.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as of recording, it'll be a few days, or as of airing, it'll be a few days ago. What highlights do we have in that update, Cory?
Yeah. So it's mostly that basically we're going to be starting U.S. fulfillment in potentially the next week or so, starting with just like core games and simple orders. Because anyone that got something from that's just card based, or like maps, for example, like Valley maps, anything that was printed at Delano, those orders will be able to start getting ready to ship from fulfillment centers. Which for us, Delano is kind of like our Delano. I don't know.
There's a city in Minnesota called Delano, right?
Yeah, and that's I think
So
why
let's
I get it
just-
mixed up. Delano, whatever the name of our factory that I always, I learned it from reading.
I'm
You
sure
know?
Brian would greatly appreciate us not knowing how to pronounce it. I think it's Delano. That's
I
how
think it's
I've-
Delano. I think you're right. But that they'll should be shipping from there. So hopefully, very soon, people will start getting some shipping notifications from them, not just from GameFound, because there was some confusion on people getting shipped order notifications from GameFound, but that's just because we export their information to give to fulfillment centers, and then they get another separate shipped email from the fulfillment center later. It's the same way BackerKit does it too. It's just confusing and weird. But yeah, that and then the fact that there was a little bit of some delays coming from Europe for the add-ons, like deluxe add-ons that were made in Ludo and other European companies like Playmats, and I think World Books or whatever else we all got, tokens. Those are coming in the next 3 to 6 weeks. And I think that 6 weeks is like a buffer for customs. So fingers crossed those will get here, and then that should be like all the US orders will be shipping. And then there's just some updates on Ludo's manufacturing of the game, which is assembly stage for core games, and then starting up in the next, I believe, month or so for expansion content. So yeah, it's exciting.
Sweet.
It's happening.
Well
People
done.
are getting games
happening.
like very soon.
Yeah.
So
At long last.
Wow.
So
yeah.
cool. Thank you, Cory.
Yeah.
Well, sweet. We kind of jumped right into it then. Do we want to... We've got a lot of fun stuff to talk about in our What We're Into section. And Cory, I don't know if you were prepared for that, but think about what you've been into lately.
I will.
No pressure.
I know. I got asked like today to just go on the podcast, and I was like,
Literally
oh,
like
no.
an hour ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to do it.
I was excited when I saw that. I'll say it again. I love having you, Cory. You're doing great.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, and I think we're gonna see a bit more of you in some coming podcasts and some other special guests. So
Yeah. Some secret
people who
me's.
want Cory and Cory Game are gonna be happy coming up.
We're still
I don't
calling
know
it
about
that?
special guests. What special guests?
Oh, I don't
Surprise
know.
guests.
I'll tell you later.
We'll tell you later.
Surprise to me,
Tell you
too.
later.
Yeah.
It's just me dressed as Santa.
It might be it might, in March.
Easter Bunny.
Evan, it might be a certain contributor to Eidalon who lives in a very different time zone than I do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, who could it be?
Suppose I could have figured that
Yeah.
out.
That narrows it down.
It really doesn't. Yeah.
Kim Jong-un?
So many.
Um,
How many dictators can we bring up?
who was the other one? Santa?
I mean,
I don't know if it's making me more anxious that this is like a train wreck, or if it's making me feel better. I don't know.
Listen, Cory, you clearly haven't listened to enough of our podcast.
I mean,
Yeah.
yeah.
Feels pretty
Yeah.
normal for like the first 20 minutes of the show.
Yeah.
I listen to them, but
The part of
I
the
guess
show where I talk the most.
it's probably the episodes I actually like truly listen to, which is a lot of them. But it's just like I guess I just miss the crazy ones somehow.
I feel like we kind of switch our type of podcast for the first chunk of our podcast were the people laughing into microphones podcast, you know.
That's true.
And then for a little bit we're kind of like a business podcast, and then we just go into like mostly like video game hot takes podcast.
Yeah.
That's true.
like
there
it.
are 3 distinct thirds of this. I love it.
3/3.
Yeah, so let us know which of our 3 podcasts you actually enjoy the most.
I did see somebody commenting somewhere about how they always just only listen to the work stories. That made me sad. Like that's your favorite part. Like, can you imagine someone just hating like my sense of humor and just God, get rid of this guy? Let's just hear the guys talk about production.
Yeah.
We love you. Thanks for listening, whoever you are. They're not listening to this anyway, so F you.
No.
No.
We're trying to do more summaries of the work stories for folks and everything.
Yeah, we love you all. Thank you.
Except for the guy that commented about Cory saying like too much, which I did not agree with.
That guy, I will say, I was coming out of like a hard work from home, like post-COVID craziness, and I was like, I think my social skills were absolutely decimated. And then that was like my first public appearance in any capacity, and so I was like, and rambling, and then that guy just like real went into me hard, like he went really into me hard. I was like, geez, gosh,
You know, like
I blocked him from
perfectly
everything.
normal. When they posted my GDC talk, like they record them and post them on YouTube, and like for a while, one of like the first 5 comments on it was like somebody saying and that like that hurt me for a
Ouch.
while. So I was right
Yeah.
there with you, Cory. Don't
see,
worry.
that's why I don't talk very much on this. 'Cause I'm trying to shield myself from all that.
Just
Wait,
don't
I
look
guess-
at comments.
Yeah.
That's
That's,
the
my
secret.
only advice. Yeah.
It's the secret.
Then you're gonna miss all the ones of people praising you and loving you. Just
We do actually have a lot of those.
Do we?
I think our
Yeah.
ratio is pretty good. I really appreciate our community.
Yeah, we
too.
do. And yeah, Chub Frog Sean has really been like digging around in the community, which has been helpful for me. And then he's like, I've left you any of the angry comments. And I'm like, okay, I'll go get them. Explain what happened.
Honestly, even when we have hot takes like last episode, like, you know, we get people disagreeing, but honestly, it's still pretty civil, all things considered.
Oh,
so.
yeah. Honestly, we have a really great audience.
Yeah. Love them. What was the hot take last week?
Oh, Andrew's thoughts on
FFG drama.
Right.
all the FFG drama and thoughts on like updates regarding reprints and communication around reprints and everything. Definitely got some discussion going.
Oh, did I missed that? Well, we already did some update. Did we do? I guess Cory updated us on the big picture. What if you guys were saying that you don't necessarily have a lot you can say, but does anyone have anything they want to just throw out there? Who wants to tell us about stuff? Just
general work stories.
Yeah, sure, general work story update stuff.
Yeah, well, we were just talking about before the episode how we're gonna have to share some more information about some of the stuff, Ranger stuff Maxine and I are working on. Our work stories are starting to get real samey.
Oh, yeah.
But we've both been working on Ranger stuff. Do you have any specific anecdotes to share, Maxine?
I mean, one exciting thing is we finally wrapped up our internal playtest of less of a playtest and more of like a final review of one of the things that I've been working on, which is super exciting. And I think it worked out really well. So very excited about that. I guess the other thing that I can mention that doesn't give away too much is I am writing so many art briefs. Just so many art briefs. For those of you who don't know, an art brief is basically me writing a short description of what the art for a given, thing should be. And then I pass that along to Evan, and then Evan works with the artist to like make that come to fruition. So it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
There's dozens of them.
Yeah.
More than that, actually, but yeah.
Well, I really appreciate it because I guess we're just shifting time around to other people's plates, but it frees me up for other things that are necessary, so I really appreciate it.
Of course.
Do you ever just draw it yourself?
I've gotten to roll up my sleeves as well and design some Ranger cards lately, which has been very fun because I think I've mentioned in the last couple podcasts in my work stories that I've been kind of doing a lot of different responsibilities around the studio. And while that is fun in its own regard, I start to kind of miss just doing creative work. So we have one of the Rangers products that I can afford to kind of do it as I have time. But I've gotten a chance to crank on it and actually just sit down and design some cards again, which is it's refreshing when it's been a while. I definitely think my creative well gets a little tapped out when I'm cranking on the same kind of content for a while, but like getting to go and do all this other playtesting and help with Eidalon and game found campaigns and conventions and offices and stuff, going back from all of that chaos to just like being creative, I feel very refreshed after getting kind of a break on that other work. So totally. I'm feeling pretty upbeat this week overall, I think.
Nice.
Yeah, I was going to ask if taking some time between the last time you developed cards, if that's like enlightening or edifying for you. Like, do you come at it with a whole fresh new look and a new take? And
there's definitely like a distance that's gained. You kind of get like this close to your work. It's right in front of your face. You start missing the forest for the trees, and it's harder to take that more kind of holistic view that like a customer is almost always going to start with that holistic view, and you kind of start losing that. And so getting to take that break really helps. And like when I'm kind of feeling tapped out, I kind of feel some new ideas that have kind of been percolating and building up over the course of that time. So I find it really rejuvenating, but it's hard because you don't always have that opportunity. Like there have been a lot of, especially, you know, like at my time at FFG, there were times when I was on a singular game line, and, you know, as soon as you're done with one thing for that game line, you're rolling into the next. And we would try to get variety by helping each other out. And like I would jump over to somebody else's game line and help them out, and they'd help me out, and we kind of exchange. And that gives you a little bit of a change of pace. But here, where we have all these other, you know, at FFG, it was awesome because we had all these teams to help us do all the things besides making games. But on the other hand, it meant that like we're just got to keep making games every day. So, well, it can sometimes be a little boring to do administrative work or whatever else. I actually think it makes me more efficient overall in the end, or at least the hours I spend on game development are more efficient.
Interesting.
Maybe it's my ADHD, but I jump around a lot. I'll work on one thing for like an hour, and then I'll work on another thing for like a different hour, and then I'll work on a third thing for an hour. And that's like, that'll form a work day instead of just working on the same thing for like 8 hours. So I agree. It can be really refreshing to get like a change of pace and work on something new, you know?
I feel the opposite. I hyperfixate. I find it hard to shift gears. And I'm just like, when there's a request from someone to do something while I'm in the middle, I'm like, I can't right now. And I can't explain how hard it is for me.
Yeah.
But
I do it anyways.
Your ability to get in the zone, Evan, like, and just crank on like an art piece and, you know, show up like 2 days later with this gorgeous piece of art. Like, I'm always very impressed.
Well, it's all about building a process that you can. It's, I don't know, being efficient, I guess. I don't know.
Is it
I
hard
wouldn't
for
really
you
say
to,
I'm efficient, but
is it hard for you to turn it off when you're done working for the day? Because I know when I'm in the zone working on art or whatever, when I have to go do something else, it's just swimming in my brain.
Yeah,
and it's hard to focus on whatever else I'm doing.
I actually had this is going to sound like it's been a tough time for me. Maybe I'll just roll this into my little work update. But I've been working on the Eidalon, the final templates for the cards for Eidalon, and it's been like I've been working on it all whenever I can this weekend, when I get up early, when I in the evening, and stuff like that. I've just been thinking about it a lot. But what kind of kicked this week off was Sunday night. I could not sleep at all, and I had this weird. Have you ever had those half sleep dreams where you're not really dreaming and you're just fixated on like an abstract idea, and you can't even really puzzle out what you're fixating on? I was stuck on like card frames on Sunday night, and I just didn't really sleep at all. And then all of a sudden, it just like sent me into this whole thing this whole week where I've been just fixating on the card frames. But it's felt really good, and I guess I just needed to, to focus fully on it, and that's maybe what my brain was telling me on Sunday or something.
Yeah.
So.
I've had nights where I burst awake at like 3 a.m. and I'm like, I have an idea, and I like run to the computer and I'm like, I have to write this down or I'll forget.
I thought you were gonna say where you like that Seinfeld episode where he has a really funny joke and he in the middle of the night and he writes it down and then he can't tell what it is.
You wake up in the morning and then you're like, what was I thinking?
Yeah. I've definitely done that.
So Evan, are you in a stage of trying to figure out what the card frames are going to be in general, or just what?
Well, the overall like visual concept is for one of the factions is pretty well locked in as far as I can tell from Andrew, and so I've been making the final templates with that one faction as like the template. So I still have to move into the other three factions and design what those cards look like, but because the footprint is kind of the same for each card type across all factions, like it won't be as time consuming or as hard because all that work is already kind of put in place, and I'm just kind of swapping in and out things. But there's still going to be a lot of changes, I'm sure, but to have something physically, well, not physically, but like an InDesign file that's dedicated to what the final cards are probably going to look like feels really good, because up until that point they were just like kind of hacked together Photoshop concept almost like thumbnails, I guess, for people to review. So,
Sweet. Does anybody else want to share some work stories?
Yeah, I can talk about what I've been doing, kind of, sort of.
Cool.
I kind of been all over the place as well, because I'm helping. I mean, I'm working on Eidalon stuff, working on marketing things, just like little marketing tasks. But then, my main two things have been editing a video that we recorded. There's a lot of footage to sort through, which has been fun. I used to do a ton of video editing when I worked in advertising, and I used to be like really good at it, and then now I don't know. I've hit that point where I'm like, am I just 30? Am I in my 30s now? Like I'm like 32, but I'm like, am I in my 30s? And I just like I'm now feeling my like limitations as a jack of all trades, or because I've been a jack of all trades for a long time, or like I don't know, did I just forget how to do some of this?
I was gonna say, it's just been a while, and you're sifting through like 4 hours, 3 different cameras of footage. Like,
yeah. And I used to be very fast. I mean, honestly, some of it's like what Evan was talking about. I think I used to be a lot more like obsessive about certain things, and then you just kind of get it done. You know, you lock in, which is what I was like at FFG working in sculpting. But I've not been like that for the last like 5-6 years now. It's been kind of like this weird journey to figure out what I want to work like, because I definitely feel scattered sometimes. But yeah, the editing has been really fun. It was really rewarding to see it come together. So that's really exciting. And then obviously like playtesting Eidalon stuff. And then I've been doing a lot of theming, not necessarily art briefs like Maxine is talking about, but there's like a lot of cards that need renamed and rethemed. And me and Robert Branzig, who's our new art coordinator, is working on Eidalon. Just a ton of coming up with card themes, and that it's a lot of cards. Like between that and editing, I've just been like kind of just mush brain. But it's been super fun. It's super fun hanging out with Rob and just coming up with card themes, because we're both like,
what does that entail, coming up with card themes?
It's just like looking at the mechanics of the card and like what was in mind before, and trying to like find how it fits into the nooks and crannies of the theme that we've developed.
So it may just be mechanics, purely mechanics, and you don't have any idea what this thing is.
Yeah. So you got to figure out like, is this a person, place, or thing, or is this like you know, whatever.
Well, and some context here is that during some of the original design of some of these cards, that they were kind of designed with a slightly different theme, and so some of the overall world has changed and developed, and so kind of taking those old cards and figuring out what they can represent in the new and modified theme.
Yeah, and even as we've done like development and like changed a lot of those cards, so like sometimes some of them the theme is kind of been placeholder for a while too, so they're like pretty disconnected from like what they are now, and so it's kind of silly sometimes to play test, and the cards just absolutely like only half the cards like make sense is kind of funny. So we're trying to do it quickly, but also do it really well, and through that there's a lot of like figuring out more little details about the world of Eidalon, which has been super fun. But yeah, it's like going from just like crunching on editing and like making graphics and stuff, and then just like switching over to like, all right, let's figure out what this whole part of the world looks like, you know. It's a wild roller coaster.
Cory, earlier we did tease a pre-announcement teaser. So what are you making the video for?
I'm making the video for something that
stay tuned.
in related to Eidalon.
Something.
And something that you should stay tuned for next week.
Why is there something rather than nothing?
I don't know. It's just a thing that is happening.
A video
week.
about nothing. It's like Seinfeld.
Yeah.
How cryptic can I get without being cryptic? It's a thing next week.
Fisher, you set it up as if he was about to actually say what it was. Did you know he's going to say it?
No, but next week people can keep an eye on our news feeds and stuff if you want to see what Cory's been working on.
Yeah, it's been a lot of work, and it's exciting. It's exciting times.
It's super cool. I got to see it earlier today.
Yes, thank you all for your feedback on the thing today that I asked for.
It was really fun to be a part of.
That
Get to
tease
dress
of a
up.
tease, the teasing.
No, just
yeah.
It all set up, no payoff. And
Yeah, there's no payoff. Next
I'm
week
gonna
there's
assume-
a payoff.
I'm gonna assume the reason I didn't get to see any of this because you all were like, let's not bother Evan. He's hyper fixating on car designs.
Evan's
you
busy.
can look in the Eidalon design channel anytime you want.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I
I,
actually have to follow that channel more. Okay,
Oh,
never
you don't
mind.
have to. You don't have to.
That's on you, Evan.
I don't.
Yeah, you're right.
I only at you when I am not afraid to make you more nervous.
Sometimes Andrew goes, "Did you see that thing in the design chat?" I'm like,
Okay.
as he's saying that, I'm scrolling to it, and I'm like,
Yeah, it's like way
Of
up
course.
there. The other day there was something that was like I can't remember what channel it was in, but it was related to something, and it ended up exploding into this massive conversation about. I don't know if it was like font sizes and card games or something.
yeah,
And we had like Yu-Gi-Oh cards and all kinds of
magic
examples.
cards.
And after Evan just brought up one little thing,
Mm-hmm.
there's just like scrolls of stuff, and then it was like all within like him walking away from his computer.
Yeah.
And I was like, when Evan gets back, he's gonna be like, what the fuck happened?
Yeah.
Like he's gonna, because it's like
I apologize for my contribution to that.
That's what I got to deal with these people. They all got things about the card
Well,
designs.
and then I just know the first thing that's in your mind is like, what do I got to do with this? Like, how does this involve me?
That's actually the thing Andrew mentioned. Like, did you see that design? Did you see that thing in? I guess it was in visuals, not in design.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I thought it was a cool discussion after I mentally summarized it.
Dude, just
There's a
copy,
lot there.
copy and
Kill the
paste that shit into ChatGPT.
Yeah.
What do I
Check.
give this to me in 2 sentences, please?
And then it
Do
doesn't
not-
like infer like
No,
little like gaming speak, and it totally
yeah. It would just lie. It would just be like
It
inject
hallucinates.
honey straight into your eye and it will make it better or whatever it says.
I like the idea of like using ChatGPT to summarize your work chat entirely.
that could be one of those
Bad
cynical
idea.
commercials that we keep seeing. For AI products,
Uh-huh.
if you can call them that.
Okay,
Yeah.
but I hate to legitimately give something to this, but I will say that there are Discord servers where like I would love for there to be a way for me to glean just the key takeaways from discussion that came out of them.
Mm.
Like even on like, sometimes on playtesting, we'll have like a playtesting Discord and folks will discuss things in individual threads, but then like, I won't check in on the playtesting Discord for a couple days and a debate will have started in general.
That is a little
And
tough
it'll
to
be
follow.
like,
Yeah.
like 300 missed messages.
Yeah.
And it's like, it's like a lot of that's probably not actionable, right?
Mhm.
But I feel like, these people are giving us their time and energy to test. And I'm like, well, I've got to read through all this. And so,
Mhm.
but like, like I will admit that like there are some cases or, just like keeping up with some of the fan community Discords I'm a part of, right? Like I'd love the highlights from somebody who's a part of it.
Mhm.
Like when
True.
Sean pulls out the highlights for you, Cory,
There's
get an AI to do that.
I kind of, Luke Eddy specifically. I just wish Luke Eddy was like into all the things that I need TLDRs of, because his TLDRs are the best. Like when Blaseball was going on, I didn't even want to watch, or like I liked Blaseball, but it's like I much preferred just getting Luke Eddy to tell me about what happened in Blaseball. Like it's like so much funnier when he sums it up. Because he just goes like he just rattles through it. He's like, so anyways, LA used to be this and the LA tacos, and then something happened which created infinite LAs, and now they're the unlimited tacos. And you're like, okay, you're like you're just like so much information so quickly and so bluntly in like the most funny way.
I got those same Blaseball summaries from John Yang
I got an exact Walter.
back in the day.
and-
Yeah.
All right, nobody knows who these people are, you guys. Come on.
Yes. It's the kids'
all-
table.
They're all
Luke and John are
Former
both
FFG
ex-FFGers.
and current.
Luke worked in our miniatures department on a couple different miniatures games, I think.
I worked with him on
Mostly
Legion very
Legion.
closely for
Mostly
many
Legion.
years.
Yeah, I think he also did some Armada.
I
I
actually
think
don't
that
know
was
if he did.
mainly Michael Gurnis.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think
And
Luke-
then
yeah.
Jonathan Yang designed several different games for FFG over the years. Doom.
Doom.
He designed the Doom board game, is fairly popular.
Real good.
What
game.
else? And he's done some stuff for Renegade as well.
How
Power
about like a
Rangers
little
game.
Sonic game that he made?
Oh, really?
Little Sonic
Yeah,
Hedgehog
that
game.
game is cool.
Yeah.
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 Luke also worked on Stone Saga and from Open Owl, right? It was
Mhm.
whatever. I don't know if they still call themselves Open Owl. And then also did some work on Legacy of the Ancestors.
Yes, of course. Yeah. We've talked about Luke on this podcast before.
Yes.
Luke designed a bunch of Legacy of the Ancestors.
Mhm.
Brooks and Luke both designed for it.
John Ying also made Bargain Quest
Yes.
after leaving FFG, which is
I
a
knew I was missing
fantastic little
something, by the
game.
way. It is.
Mhm. I like the name.
And his sister did like all the art for it, which is
Yeah,
just like top
It's
notch.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can get all those games half off this week using code Earthborne.
God, no.
Anders Santa.
Earthborne
That's
Kids
Anders
Table.
Santa.
So go to FFG/Random Guys Games.
That's the code FFG Drama.
Somehow I got in there. Put a sale on for y'all. Looks like Andrew Navarro just pinged us in the.
Oh yeah. He gave us he gave us permission to be slightly more specific in our teaser.
It's basically the same thing. He
It's
basically gave
basically
us
the
permission to say
same,
the
yeah.
thing we already said on our own.
Tuesday.
Okay, I'll say. He says that we can say, look for a big Hub World Eidolon announcement on Tuesday, barring some unforeseen issue. In quotes.
So this coming Tuesday,
Yeah.
another teaser will be on the way, right?
A tease of a tease.
Oh man,
It's just
Another
like
tease.
yeah, it's a map.
No,
It's
this one, I know we've been stringing this out for a couple podcast episodes, but the stuff on Tuesday, barring
Stuff on
unforeseen
Tuesday is cool.
consequences,
Yeah.
it's real.
Let's jump to
It'll
Tuesday,
be actual.
barring
There
some
won't be meat on those
unforeseen.
boats.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then of course, unforeseen circumstances happen, and then it's
Or
like
do
Wednesday.
that, yeah.
Wednesday, actually, people.
I'll be on a plane, unfortunately, so I won't get to see the reaction to the big
Oh,
news.
are you traveling on Tuesday?
Yeah.
Man, that'll be cool. The buzz will be going, we'll see.
Let's
Secret.
open up the mailbag, shall we? The
We shall.
Earthborne mailbag.
I wish we did.
Roll
I
the
wish-
music.
yeah.
That's great. I love that.
First
Yeah.
question comes from Save for Episode with Cory.
I knew that was going to happen.
We don't actually have a name for the
Do we
first
have a name
question
for
that we
these?
saved. I'm sorry, whoever you are.
Is it
I think
Polar
that one
Otter?
might
It's
be-
Corey's nemesis.
I'm gonna try and pull them from my memory. Is the first one D-Chads? Who said this question? D-Chads. It might be D-Chads.
I feel like if you were just going to guess a random name with the highest probability, it would be D. Cheds.
True.
Or maybe SM Tilson.
it could,
Uh,
yeah. Oh, you know what? That one actually could be SM Tilson. Yeah, one of them.
Hmm.
It's one of the people who care about Cory game a lot.
Whose voice
And-
does it sound like? How does Michael feel about the game being called Cory Game?
Who's on a first name basis with us? I don't know.
D-Chads. I would hate for this to be seen as disrespectful of his work.
That might be SM Tilson now that I'm thinking about it.
Answer the question, Cory.
All right. Sorry, I'm more obsessed with the who is it. Michael feels fine about it. Michael is like a
Michael's
very
your co-designer, co-creator?
yeah. Because I think part of it too is I think there's a strategy in not giving away that me and Michael were working together until we kind of announced it more directly. So it's, of course, just it came up naturally and organically as just the thing that Cory's working on.
And it came through this podcast, and you've always been kind of the fifth Beatle kind of character
yeah,
since the
fifth
beginning.
Beatle.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was the fourth employee, right? Is that what it was?
Yeah, makes
of
sense.
Earthborne. So the fourth Beatle, I guess. But I got kicked to fifth status. because Maxine's cooler.
What?
You are
Lies.
You are cooler. Way cooler.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, look at your hair and your cool headphones, and you're like a writer, and I got like stuff on my piano because I
No hair.
Stop, I'm blushing.
You know, no hair.
That piano's about as sad as like a basement treadmill that's been used for like holding clothes that need to be folded or something.
That's my new gamer tag, basement treadmill.
It was SM Tilson, by the way. I checked the show note history. It was SM Tilson.
So I get 2 points for this question. No, Michael only knows that. Michael only sees respect. I think he's very excited that all the hype for the game, and whether it's Cory game or not. I think he would even, knowing him, he would probably even call it Cory game. You know, he'd probably be
Plus,
down.
he got like a location card in Earthborne named after him. So
yeah, Michael's
Sure.
Bog.
Michael's Bog.
He let me put my beagle in the game, Eidolon. So yeah, he's good.
he's very chill. I worked with him on Marvel Champions, and he was so chill that it wasn't off-putting, but I was just like, wow, you're very chill.
He was so chill, he didn't have a pulse.
That's such a weird way to put it, Evan.
I like that.
He was so chill that it wasn't off-putting. But he was so chill.
I said it before I even really thought about it, so I probably misspoke. Let's just say that.
Oh no, I've met
do that a
people
lot.
who are so chill it's off-putting.
Yeah.
So like, I totally get what you're saying.
Yeah.
But it's basically he did say that, but he just added the word wasn't
Yeah.
instead of was.
What did I say? I don't
Yeah,
even
he
remember
basically said that,
exactly what I
except
said.
the opposite.
Yeah.
He said he was so chill, but he wasn't off-putting.
What I meant to say... Oh, never mind. I'm just gonna...
Let's just skip it.
I'm
He's
gonna
a
drop
chill,
it right
cool.
now.
He's a
I
cool,
love
chill
it.
dude.
I love Michael. He's great.
Don't we all?
He's
Yeah.
great.
Who else
He's great.
can we talk about that nobody knows who they are?
Lots of our listeners know who Michael is.
Oh
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
I have a
Yeah.
button. I have a
They
button
played.
that the
we're
Netrunner
still talking
community
about
made.
Michael.
Oh yeah, the Netrunner community loves
Yeah,
bugs.
they have.
Yeah.
I have a pin that like the Netrunner community gave him because he had like 3 of them, so he gave me one, and it says, and I think my wife put it on her lapel once at like Gen Con, and it's just him and his beanie that he always wore at FFG, and it just says the Boggs father on it or something like that, and it's so funny.
That's awesome.
Sorry, I thought we were talking about someone else at that point. Okay. I'm a bad listener.
No, it's okay.
That's why they chose me for this podcast. Next question from Polar Otter. Eidalon and Rangers are obviously very different games. Despite that, are there any elements of Rangers that helped inspire or push Eidalon's design forward? That's for Cory.
That's actually a really good question. I
And
think
follow up for Fisher and MJ. Are there elements of Eidalon that helped the design of Legacy of the Ancestors? Sorry, Cory, please proceed.
No. These are interesting. You know, it's funny. I actually feel like in some ways it's not necessarily like inspiration, but like there's a lot of like funny coincidences that kind of happened between Eidalon and Rangers. Like we both kind of have like 30. Well, ours is a 36 card deck, but it's like there's 30 cards in the deck. There's 30 cards in Rangers. We had the same mulligan, which we came to separately. There's all these things. There was
We
even
both
like
just stole it from.
true, but then there's
our
also
team,
like
really.
at one point, Michael and I had I had a whole idea on how we could like organize the product. And when I like pitched the like card count, it was like the exact card count as like the core game of Rangers. It was like it was like crazy. It was like 540 cards or something. With doubles and everything. It was just like weird coincidences that kept happening. But no, I think there's definitely been some things that have inspired it, especially doing all this retheming, just like taking some like, I don't know, inspiration from like how theming has been integrated into Rangers, trying to find ways to kind of think about cards in Eidolon that way, to create some kind of like, I don't know, consistency within Earthborne games and like how games feel. I don't know. There's definitely been some like things I've thought about. I think there's also probably 1 or 2 mechanics that I've like thought about as like future things that like are inspired by Rangers, but nothing so direct. There's just a lot of coincidences that like we kind of fell on, which is fun.
There are some card type names that I think we decided to name the same simply because we might as well.
That's
things
right.
like moment.
Yeah, we did do some of that. There's a few things where we definitely were like, oh, like moments for sure. Some subtypes, things like that.
That's cool.
But yeah.
On the Ranger side, I don't remember. Did we talk about this in the other episode, or did we just save the whole question?
I don't think we talked about it.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I think it's hard not to take some inspiration from anything you're playing a lot, right?
Yeah.
Like you just kind of absorb it. I don't know how much Eidalon made it directly into Legacy, just because Legacy has been in development for a while, and so it's pretty far along. And as mentioned earlier, Luke, as well as Brooks, designed a bunch of Legacy as well. So I don't know if I could draw a ton of one-to-one from Eidalon to Legacy, but especially as we kind of continue and think about Rangers, I think like one thing I've talked a lot about is how Rangers is like half card game but half role playing game, and sometimes in its mechanics it takes a very role playing game mentality to mechanics of keeping them more open and wild and like a little maybe harder to adjudicate, but you know when it lands us some flavor or variety, kind of like in storytelling moments like an RPG might in some of its mechanics. Eidalon is like polar opposite of that, right? It is very tight and precise language, but one of the things I have really respected about it is how kind of precise and succinct the language can be, as well as how we've presented visually some of the things like our encounter effects or confront effects and confront triggers versus discover triggers, and how those are kind of visually delineated and everything. And so I think some of that has kind of crept into considering how we present information in Rangers and ways we can make it more succinct and more visually appealing. Maybe not a direct example, but like something I can point directly to. But like an example of kind of things I'm talking about are like mission cards. Maxine, you recently have been doing some stuff with mission cards where we present information a little more visually, and that's kind of what I'm thinking about. Is like as we take away from Eidalon, how can we present stuff with a little more visuals to help give meaning, and like stuff like those tweaks you were making to mission cards feel right in line with that kind of mentality. And so yeah, I guess my answer is nothing direct, but a lot of kind of inspiration and change in how we're thinking about things.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. Like playing a lot of Rangers definitely like made me think a lot differently about some of the stuff that Michael and I were talking about. So, yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Next question comes from Guitar Retro. Did Maxine get to play more Veilguard? I just finished it, and it's my game of the year.
I have not. Sorry.
What was that again? Veilguard.
Veilguard. It's the new Dragon Age game.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Dragon Age Veilguard. I got to about the part where I've like recruited the full team now. So like, you know, the end of maybe like Act 1, I would call it. I actually don't know how long the game is, so maybe that's halfway through. I honestly don't know. And I just kind of fell off of it. Not because of any problem with the game, and the game is fine. Just like other things came out. I haven't been playing games as much lately. And it's an RPG. There's a lot of stuff to uncover. And I actually spent a solid amount of time just kind of putzing around the Elven Forest area. The name of which I don't remember. Just like unlocking secrets and stuff like that, which if I hadn't done that, I probably would be like a much further in the story. So, it's good. I like the characters, but none of them have gripped me as romantic interests, and that's big for me. I
like personally
haven't fallen
like
in love with them.
Like you feel in love with
Yes.
the character?
Like when Dragon Age 2 came out, like Meryl, I was super into Meryl, and then when Dragon Age Origins came out, actually, I don't think I've romanced anyone in Origins either. I'm a bad Dragon Age player. But yeah, you get the idea. Not Origins, Inquisition. Origins, I obviously romanced Morgan because, of course, you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. I mean, come on. But yeah, it's a good game. I like it. I'll get back to it at some point eventually, hopefully. But Monster Hunter Wilds comes out in 2 days, so maybe not.
Mm-hmm. Have you all ever fallen in love with a character in a video game?
Totally. I think like playing some like old games when I was a kid, there was definitely like someone I was like, oh, that person is like cool.
Bowser is hot.
Yeah. No, I think there's like characters in a lot of games. There's like Tales of Symphonia had some really cool characters.
Tales of Symphonia,
like Kratos
Persona.
and
The
stuff.
Persona
Yeah.
games have a lot
Persona
of cool
games, yeah.
characters.
There's a lot of those.
Fisher, it looked
Not
like
me,
you were about to
not
say
ever.
something.
I'm
I'm not a freak.
I was gonna say.
I wouldn't say I've definitely loved characters from games in the sense that like I really like those characters. I don't know if I've and I've definitely had crushes on characters in games,
Yeah.
but I think that's how I'd categorize it.
Yeah, I guess I don't actually have
Romantic
full-fledged
feeling.
romantic
Yeah,
feeling
yeah,
here. But I mean, but at the same time, Shadowheart.
Oh yeah.
Shadow.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, for me, it was Atlas in BioShock. I just fell for him as soon as I heard him turn on me, and yeah,
I got a lot of characters to look up now.
yeah.
There's a lot
Atlas.
of games I'm out of the loop
The
on.
name's
Yeah,
Atlas.
same.
I'm gonna need you to step out of that scuba there, or whatever he says, a submarine or.
Swoon.
I don't know how many of y'all played BioShock, but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
I tried.
yeah.
We really brought the kid table energy to this
Yeah.
episode.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I'm always at the kids' table. I'm playing with my fidget toys, so I pay attention.
Mom, Cory's playing with his toys again.
Yeah, it keeps me from chewing on my fingernails or whatever.
All right, our next question comes from Deridus. What is everyone's weird gamer flex? For example,
Oh, I
my
forgot to
wife
think about
has
this.
the world top score on Xbox 360's sing-along game Lips to 1,000 Miles by Vanessa Carlton. The top score on
Man,
Lips.
That's pretty impressive.
Never heard of Lips. Anyone
I
else?
have-
It's like a karaoke game. I
That's
think.
cool.
Yeah.
That sounds great.
It's funny because you warned us about this, and I feel
Yeah.
like all of us are having a hard time thinking.
Yeah.
I have a couple. I have
Oh,
like
I know
a few
mine.
things. Yeah,
Oh.
what's yours? I want to hear yours.
Yeah. All right, Maxine.
Okay, so in Destiny 2, there
Mm.
are missions called exotic missions. They're called that because you earn an exotic weapon at the end of it. And I think it was the third one that ever came out. It's called Presage. I loved that mission so much that I learned how to solo it flawless. Which that is like double layer of difficult because first of all, it's a 3-person mission, so soloing it is already very hard. Especially in Destiny, because the way that like resurrection works in that game is if you're playing with a group and you like die, whatever, your health reaches 0, someone can walk over and res you. It's super easy. They just walk over and hold a button and then you're back. In some missions they limit how many lives you have, that kind of thing. But if you're playing solo, you're just done. That's it. And if you're trying to do it flawlessly, that's the whole run. You've got to start all the way over at the beginning.
Damn.
So I trained for this. I must have played that mission like dozens of times. And I found a build that was really good. And they have seasonal builds in Destiny. So every season there's like an artifact that you can get that has different perks. So I found a perk combination that works really well with my build, and I can't do that perk combination anymore because it's not the same season anymore. But looking back, it was so broken. It was so good. I just had infinite knives, and the knives stunned champions, which are like elite mobs. And so I could just stun lock certain enemies. But the boss was still really hard. Anyway, long story short, I beat it flawlessly solo, which
That's
is pretty
awesome.
cool. I almost did the same on the Shattered Throne, which is a dungeon, which is even harder. But I died at the very end, and I was so upset. And I went no, and I quit. And I haven't gotten back to it. So
That's awesome.
That's a good one.
I also streamed that, but my mic was off the whole time, and I didn't realize it. So I'm talking the whole time, and like no one like there were people watching. There was like 8 or 12 people watching. No one said anything. I was like, wow, this is just a really weirdly silent dungeon run. And then at the end of it, I went back and I was like, oh, the fucking mic was off. Like, god damn it. Anyway.
I'm surprised, like, if you could see you talking, I'm surprised somebody didn't say something.
I had the camera off.
Oh, okay, so it's just the run.
This was in my camera off streaming phase.
Mm-hmm.
So
that makes sense.
Camera off.
But yeah, I don't know. I'm not a very impressive nerd. I don't feel like I have. I don't feel like I have any like super exciting nerdy accomplishments. Back in my World of Warcraft playing days, our guild was not like a top rating guild or anything, but we almost one of the big raids came out. This is back in vanilla World of Warcraft. There's this raid AQ on Kiraj. I don't know exactly how to pronounce it, but it was like the third big raid that ever came out. And to unlock it, you had this like world event where both sides of the server, the enemies, Horde and Alliance, had to collect this resource to unlock it for their server.
It's the Scepter quest, right?
I colluded. So our server was very lopsided. There was a ton of Alliance, but I was on Horde. But I had a friend on our server, a couple friends on our server over on the Alliance side, and we colluded to exchange stuff through this factionless auction house to basically get both of our factions, because we had one of the biggest servers in the world at the time, to try to get world first in unlocking this. We unfortunately lost out to the server Medivh. Our server was Arthas. So we lost out, but we were very, very close to getting world first unlocking this because of my friend and I's collusion. But unfortunately, didn't even get that. So I don't have any big nerd accolades to claim, I don't think.
Almost did it.
Yeah, I definitely have like a list of things that I used to be very proud of, because I was very much like one of those achievement hunter people on Xbox 360. I got addicted to that little pop-up sound effect. And also, I've just always wanted to be, as the Gen Zers say, I'm a sweaty gamer. Or I used to be. I used to play a lot of shooters. Like, I was definitely of the ilk of people who are like, you beat Halo 3 on Legendary, you beat Call of Duty 4 on Veteran. I was like the first of my friends to beat it on Veteran. All those games, and then, but I also am a big MMO nerd. And probably like my biggest thing is when I was younger, or not when I was younger, only a few years ago. I started playing RuneScape, old school RuneScape, and I did the Dragon Slayer quest without a guide. So apparently most people play RuneScape with a guide all the time. So I'm like, okay, I didn't know. I mean, it's very convoluted. All of RuneScape is incredibly convoluted. So I understand the need for a guide. It's very much just rub everything in your inventory on everything else until you very
like Monkey Island or something?
It is 100% just like, what if Monkey Island was a giant MMORPG? So probably I'm weirdly proud of that now, because I'm like, dang, I guess I'm the only one.
Oh,
you're the only one.
Time to reset the counter. Corey mentioned RuneScape, and I mentioned Destiny, so
Hey,
we just need Evan to mention Final Fantasy, and we're
it's coming.
We've got the trifecta.
It's coming. Sure.
Well, with that, I mean, I can bring it up and say I can't really say that I can flex on that game, because even though I'm trying to 100% and it requires like a lot of intense, like high level play, I've been just only surviving on the goodwill of like YouTubers who figured out strategies, so I haven't really like come up with any cool strats or combos that really, make me feel like, I can flex that at all. But thinking about it, I feel like one of the flexes I can have is with like hidden information games like Nemesis and Battlestar Galactica and well, I guess I can't think of any others at the moment, but I'm pretty good at like bluffing my role, especially if I'm like, a Cylon or whatever, I can do a pretty good job like giving people like a bum steer.
Yeah, I believe it.
So, and mainly it just comes down to just acting like I don't get the rules. But I suppose that's kind of a cheap, like a cop out.
Yeah,
that's
true.
Win?
That actually, man, I have like slightly related to that. The first time I think the only time I've ever played New Angeles, which I really like that game.
That game is amazing.
I was with like a couple of friends, including Robert Brantzig, that works for us now, and I was the Federalist, and no one thought no one thought I was, and I was like, at the time, I think I was like drunk that night or kind of drunk, and they really wrote me off as like Cory's
hammered.
Yeah, he's not gonna, and I absolutely won. Like I demolished them. like. I was like, boom.
I've heard about this game from a different person who was there.
Probably
actually.
Rob or Nicholas, or someone. I don't know. But it was really funny.
That's funny.
But yeah, similar thing. It's just like you said, Evan, just act like you don't know the rules or pretend to be drunk. Or be drunk.
Yeah.
Literally be drunk.
Just be drunk.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm usually better at games when I'm drunk.
When you won, were you like, oh, did I win? Is that how you play this game?
Yeah.
What does new high score mean?
Yeah. I was definitely my friend. My friend used to always beat me at football video games. And if I was drunk, I always won. So there's like something about being drunk that makes me
kind
better.
Of like a weird tortoise in the hare story,
allegory. Football and New Angeles is the secret.
The other thing I was going to say was back when X-Wing was really big, I loved the A-Wing so much, even though it was such a flimsy little kind of weak ship. But I just loved it, and I just fixated on it, and I was like, I'm going to be the A-Wing guy. And I got really good at shooting the proton rockets, which are like the best missile for that ship at range 1, and then just getting out. So that was always just like a complete thrill to like pull off an A-Wing list against like whatever is the most competitive, build at the time. So
like a Millennium Falcon or something.
Yeah. Just like some like daunting ships with a ton of hull and shields.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My flex is that I used to be able to beat Super Mario Brothers 1 in around like 6 minutes.
Oh wow.
Oh.
I think just really fast. I don't remember. I never timed it, but it felt around that.
The original one?
Yeah,
That's
the
cool.
first one. I could just like hold around and just bing, bing, bing,
Nice.
bing, bong, boom, bing. Trump. And also, I also have 379.9 million bells in Animal Crossing.
What?
Billion, I mean. Billion.
Billion?
Okay.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Can go that high?
Man.
Yeah. That's
Maybe
definitely
the game
true.
glitched and
That's
there's
definitely
sort
true.
of some value spilled over and you got like an extra.
Buried my bells every night. And the next morning, I'd have a bell tree. Is that what they're called? Bells?
Bells, yeah.
I loved that during the pandemic. God, that was such a good memory in my life.
No, yeah. My
Just
wife
playing
Patty
Animal Crossing.
has more hours on the Switch than I do. And it was my Switch. And it's because of Animal Crossing and bell burying and yeah.
It was really exciting. Hunting tarantulas
Yeah.
at night. Had to wait till
Turnip
nighttime.
prices.
Yeah, turnip prices. What is wrong with us? All right. Okay, that one wasn't true, but I could beat Mario really fast. Okay, the next question is from Mithrandi R8715.
Mithrandir. That's Gandalf's real name.
Mithrandir. When can we get some Earthborne swag? Definitely want the Earthborne shirt Navarro is always wearing. I don't know. I think, isn't that still kind of like up in the air? So that was the last time we talked about it.
Listen,
Yeah.
by way of apology for us being super vague about dates and stuff earlier, I'll at least give a little bit of something on this, which is maybe keep an eye. We said keep an eye on our news channels next Tuesday for Eidalon. Maybe keep an eye on our news channels. I think it's currently planned for about 3 weeks from now. Just keep an eye out.
3 weeks. I like how we're finally giving slightly more specific dates to people after all these months of just like teasing this stuff. But it's also still so vague. Like about that.
Well, I mean, like we don't know for sure, but
I gotta make more videos.
Joe, who is also responsible, I don't remember how much we've talked about this, but Joe, who's also responsible for a bunch all the concept sketches that we've shared and like concepting a lot of the stuff for Rangers, has been working on some swag for you all. So keep an eye out.
Swag is happening someday. Some days.
Yes.
Swag is happening.
Andrew's going to listen to this episode and be like, oh my God, I can never leave again.
Yeah.
I was just thinking he's going to love this.
At some point.
I really was. Next and final question comes from Coffee Urbana. I have no real knowledge on how startups work, except that in the beginning, there's a crowdfunding phase. Why was there a second Kickstarter? Not enough turnover in the first one? When will EBR fully rely on a normal distribution model, as in go to the online store and buy it?
I thought this was, somebody reposted this one over from like the business channel on our Discord over to the podcast channel. And I thought it was an interesting one to talk about. I mean, it probably could be more interesting to have Andrew here to kind of talk about the business side of things, but I at least can shed a little bit of light on the original question here. I think the question kind of comes from, it seems like there's kind of this assumption with the question that, kickstarting is kind of like seed funding to start off. And then once your business is rolling, your business continues to roll. And I think, honestly, that was kind of the original pitch of Kickstarter, like how it was originally conceptualized. But to be honest, that's not exactly how Kickstarter or crowdfunding sites have really been used by a lot of companies for most of their run. And so part of like a lot of people continue to use them for periodic updates and new releases because, I mean, they handle a lot of really handy things for you, right? Like it's a pretty good marketing front end. It's in getting like the existence of your product out to the customer. It gives a discrete moment that everybody knows when they can show up and support, and you can be really attentive and talk about the game. It gives a newsletter that you can send out to folks to keep them updated on everything. Like the crowdfunding method takes a lot of disparate things and bundles them into one nice thing. And so it's very kind of nice to use for different product runs and to also just know if something's going to be funded in the first place. So that's part of our reason. But like, there's also just the who is buying your game can be very different in crowdfunding and direct sales versus kind of going through normal distribution. Normal distribution. Now, granted, a lot of people can go to their FLGS and buy it. Like even people who are directly aware of the game, but often a lot of distribution will collect a lot of like retail sales, people who are on foot at different stores, people who spot your game on the shelf. And while there's a lot of overlap, there is also a lot of unique customers in that. Whereas direct sales like we get on Kickstarter is, a lot of people who are plugged directly into the community and like really kind of interested in us and our game. Also, I won't lie, Kickstarter does still take a cut. Direct sales are pretty good for us. Selling through distribution, there's a pretty big distributor discount because both the distributor and the store need to make a cut on the game. So selling direct is just generally pretty advantageous for us as well. So a lot of different reasons that we end up continuing to do crowdfunding campaigns on our different games. And honestly, like one thing you'll see across a lot of people who do crowdfunding games, like to the question of like why do a second one. Often the second crowdfunding campaign can do better than the first. The first is usually this like proof of concept. Like people are backing the idea of the game and the faith in the team because the thing doesn't exist yet. And then the second campaign, people are backing a game that they know, they've seen reviews of, right? Like they're potentially taking that game and expanding it to a bigger game line and getting the company the money they need to like fund developing that bigger game line. And so that second campaign can actually garner way more attention and way more interest from folks who want to see the game exist and be good before they buy. So a lot of different reasons.
Yeah.
Does anybody have anything else they want to add to my slightly rambly answer there?
Yeah.
I think it's kind of. Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, Anders.
So sometimes I think it's a little fishy though, like Yacht Club games that did Shovel Knight. Such a hugely successful game, right? It's on every platform. They got all these spin-offs, merch, blah blah blah. They crowdfunded their latest game and made like 1.3 million on that. And I feel like, don't you think? I was just like, you guys must already be, swimming in money. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they're not as lucrative as I think.
Well, it depends on the distribution contract that they got too. They might got like a pretty good deal, but enough to make a whole new venture, maybe not. It's hard to say.
Well, and those digital ones are, they don't have they have publisher rates and stuff too, but they don't have like some of the same factors that tabletop games do. That I think is the reason we've seen tabletop really adapt to crowdfunding, whereas digital really hasn't, because they don't. The direct sale doesn't make as big of a difference for them. But I guess I don't know, Anders, but my guess would be on somebody like Yacht Club is that marketing angle I talked about earlier.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Yeah, it's a huge.
It can't be underestimated how much like a crowdfunding campaign, how good it is for marketing. It's really hard to recapture that same kind of like word-of-mouth momentum with anything except like maybe a release. And this way you get both the campaign and a release. So you get these kind of two marketing moments as opposed to just one. So I imagine that was probably some of it for them.
Yeah, especially nowadays, there's like social media is really fractured and it's really hard to know what your audience is. And you can't just like put up a buy our new thing in the old thing, because some of those things people are not like, they're done. They beat it, like they're not playing.
Right.
So it's kind of interesting. I was going to say on the subject too of like multiple Kickstarters forever kind of thing. I also think too, it depends on the company. Like, I don't know necessarily for us, because it's like things are in the air, but like looking at like say Leader Games, right? Like they would sort of tack their reprinting of Root on all their Kickstarters that were like Root expansions, which is kind of like what we did here with Earthborne Rangers. We spun it not as an expansion, but as like a reprint. But it's like the main thing is like getting money in your pockets so that you can reprint the game. And eventually, right, which we might even be able to do now, like be able to afford a reprint between Kickstarters. So it's like now Root, for example, from Leader Games, they don't even put it in the like add-ons for their Kickstarters for Root expansions anymore, because for them, they can just sit there and print Root anytime they want. But the way they use crowdfunding is they'll like use it as a means to see if there's interest in something. So like a lot of the games that go to crowdfunding are like almost like, what do you think about this? And it's kind of really loose. Like Arcs and Oath were very different when they first put it on crowdfunding to like when it released, because it's kind of like pitching an idea and then getting crowd interest and then kind of using that crowd interest and money to kind of invest into like trying something new. But like getting a game like Ahoy or Fort, where they kind of knew it was going to sell, they just went straight to distro, So I think, in a weird way, Earthborne Rangers might end up in a similar route where it's like we can afford a reprint, but that doesn't mean like we don't know how much interest that'll be in another expansion of every kind, and trying to make sure that people like, I don't know, there's like a hype cycle to it, but there's also like, I don't know, just those are bigger products that require a lot of investment versus like a reprint, which after a while is just money, I think crowdfunding does a good job of helping companies kind of find a budget when they're a tiny team like that. for that kind of marketing and
Well, and I think that
development.
a lot of crowdfunding platforms, because of this, are now fairly designed. Like, you're incentivized to just keep rolling with the same platform. They want you to keep rolling with their platform, and a lot of what they do makes it really easy to do so, right? Like, you're already set up on these platforms. You already have the audience that you can inform that like a new thing is available.
Mhm.
There's a lot of different companies where they just continue to use their pledge managers as their storefront, so that they don't need to set up their own storefront. They might like I think Kingdom Death Monster will just release
Yeah.
new things directly into their pledge manager. And if you want to go buy it, you just get sent to the pledge manager. So they're even using that infrastructure and just staying in that infrastructure, because like, why, since the pledge manager can now be a full storefront, why bother making a whole separate digital storefront you have to manage? But then it's super easy, like, because you're still in their environment, it's super easy to just, well, we might as well do another campaign through them. So like, I'm kind of like selling their marketing trap. But like, really what I'm saying here though is like, when you're a company, you don't want to reinvent the wheel every time you release a new product. You want to like get it out to folks in the way that's going to be easiest for you. So I think there's also that momentum.
Yeah, totally.
Well, shall we close up the mailbag?
Yeah, let's close it up.
Take it away, Cory.
Just pull the strings.
Yeah.
There
No,
we go.
you gotta do the little song stinger at the end.
It's like the closing. The closing one's a little grosser,
I love it.
Like
That's
farts
great.
out. So that
The as you tighten
tightens up a bag. All right, that brings us to Anders Indie Game Corner / stuff we're into. So I finished Game of Thrones finally watched the last season. It was satisfying, and it did indeed feel rushed, and I still liked it. All right.
Okay.
But I liked what happened. If the character development was in place and it all felt like lived in and earned, I like where the story went and how it ended. So therefore I'm satisfied with the ending. And I was ready for it to be over, anyway. So I didn't mind that it felt rushed, but yeah. And I think the way I watched it probably changed how it affected me, because I wasn't watching it week to week with everybody else. I already knew that everyone hated it, so I was ready to disagree with them and be the contrarian.
Yeah.
But I ended up actually disagreeing with the overall hate, but sort of agreeing with what the complaints were. So anyway, anybody want to add anything to that?
I just feel bad. Like, Anders started messaging me, like talking about like analyzing how he was feeling about the way things were going. So Anders, I'm sorry if bringing this up the other podcast episode made you think about it too much.
No, I already was, because I already knew everybody hated it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be the contrarian to your contrarian and say it sucked and it was dumb and it's stupid.
So you were disappointed with like what happened to the characters.
I didn't like. There was okay. So Jaime Lannister is one of my favorite characters, and they obliterated his character development completely in one fell swoop. Tyrion Lannister starts being stupid and making bad decisions, and you're like, what? You're Tyrion. Like, you're supposed to be like the smart guy. What are you doing? No.
Yeah. I see that, but I loved it. I love them so much. I love the characters. I like make excuses for it. I'm like, well, maybe he's just, it wasn't as good as we thought he was.
I sometimes like I feel like my critical edge is kind of blunted or something, because sometimes I just accept like I'm watching, and maybe I'm just not invested in the characters. I'm like, okay, well, they went that way. All right.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. So when I hear you all talk about these specific character traits that went bad for these characters, I'm just like, oh, I didn't really pick up on that, I guess.
You're like,
maybe I just wasn't paying attention.
you're not thinking so much about the person who wrote that character. You're just thinking, like, that's that guy doing what he's doing, and that's what he did.
And he's
He's
really
real.
messed it up.
I need to think about
He
that
messed
more.
it up.
Yeah.
I do actually kind of agree, Evan. I rarely feel like disdain for the way something is going, right? But like with Game of Thrones, what I began to notice as the pace ramped up and characters started doing decisions, to Maxine's point, that really don't align with them, I stopped feeling anything about the show.
Mm.
So I don't like, I rarely like say, oh, that was bad, but I come out of an episode and say to myself, I didn't feel anything. Because earlier in Game of Thrones, I would leave episodes and I'd be so hyped for the next episode. I would like think about things. And I would just I keep watching it. I enjoy myself, but I get to the end of the episode and be like, all right.
Yeah, totally.
But then
totally agree.
Sometimes you grapple, if you really love the setting and stuff, you kind of grapple with that was good, right? Right?
Right, yeah.
It's like kind of a coping where you kind of trick yourself.
I had a moment about more than halfway through the season rather, where I was like, all right, I'm kind of digging this. Like, there's some weird decisions, but I'm enjoying this. And then I got to a point where I was like, they've been building up Jon Snow, spoilers by the way, for so long. The Prince Reborn, all this stuff.
Yeah.
And what did he do in the final? He screamed at a dragon.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Yeah,
he did
he was
nothing.
He was pretty limp
he was
in the past.
Inconsequential.
Totally, he was just a limp character.
These are all things that people bring up.
He had one moment at the very end, and that's it. Yeah,
I see like a
that's
meme.
True. That's what he did in the end. You could argue that one. Like, that was a major thing he did. The major thing what he did. I like that moment. That moment was good. I think it was good.
I don't even remember that moment.
Oh, you watched it, Evan? Has everybody seen it here?
Yeah, I've seen it all the way to the end.
Jeez, yeah. Game of Groans.
Snap.
I was kidding. I used to, I don't know. I liked Game of Thrones, but yeah, I have a similar thing where I kind of just ran out of energy for it, and it kept getting faster and more weird, and yeah, like you just kind of grow numb to it after a while. And you're like,
I think the other problem is like Game of Thrones, I feel like works best when there's like a villain to hate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And after they dispatched with Ramsay Bolton, it's like, I don't care about the White Walkers that much.
They're like, let's make you hate the person you love at the last episode. Let's do that.
That's like when I started to really fall off, is I feel like there's like this whole world-ending stakes thing that like at first is really compelling when there's like all the above the wall stuff, but usually I'm like, world-ending stakes are kind of boring. But they found a way to make it really interesting, But then like later on, there's just like the Bolton's arc and all that stuff is so much more like, it's like I hate that guy, like and they spend so much time on it that when they finally bring back the White Walkers, I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot.
Yeah, I've seen Walking Dead.
I forgot about that. Like, I kind of don't care anymore,
And then when they defeat them,
fast, like,
and then you're just like, okay, nobody. And when the show was over, I felt like nobody's even here anymore. Like, there's just like an empty world now.
No,
I don't even care about this world now.
It's a little weird.
And who has a better story than Bran the Broken?
I liked it. People didn't like that. I liked him being the guy.
Yeah,
Bran the Broken.
But like one of the things I was saying to Anders when we were chatting about it too, though, is that like a lot of this has meaning, and like some of these frustrations in the last seasons have meaning because the rest of a lot of the rest of the show was so good, right? Like, and I feel like sometimes the endings of things can make us kind of retroactively apply this disdain. But I loved Game of Thrones in the middle of it, right? But and like Battle of the Bastards, near the end of where I was really enjoying it, was just some of like one of the best battles ever put to TV.
Oh yeah.
There's just truly some phenomenal storytelling in those earlier seasons, and so it's a shame that kind of its memory is a little tainted by a poor landing.
Yeah, I think one of those things too, where it's just like it would have benefited from me also being shorter. There's just like so much hype about like the length, like the building up all these arcs and the fact that George hadn't finished it. Like there's a lot of really good stuff in there. I really do love a lot of Game of Thrones.
It's one of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Works of art.
I used to quote it all the time.
Did you? Like, what would you say? What was your favorite one?
I just go, White Walker's Sam. And then I just go, here's my Sam impression. He just goes, Gilly.
John
Smith. You just say those words.
That's great.
Do you have a character that you hated that's like not meant to be hated? You know what I mean?
In Game of Thrones.
That's why the last episode was named Geordie Mormont. Jorah.
Oh, that's right.
Jorah, I just didn't like him.
Yeah, Jorah kind of stinks. He's got issues.
And then
He's got issues.
I don't know if we're supposed to.
Doesn't have issues in that show.
True. Let's move on. I also watched season 2. I watched season 2 of Severance, and I like it. I loved the first season. I like the second season. Is anybody else watching it?
I'm very intrigued by it.
I haven't seen it.
I love the idea.
Get to it. Yeah.
Never.
I'm watching it live. I was actually going to say when we were talking about sticking landings, I was like, Ben Stiller, you better stick this landing.
Is it the last season? Is there only 2 seasons?
No, there's more.
Okay, yeah.
They're doing. They claim to have an ending, but so did Lost. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I haven't seen Severance because I don't have Apple TV.
Yeah, it's the one streaming service I'm like refusing to get, even though I'm embarrassed to admit the amount of streaming.
They have like free trials all the time. You can get them through all kinds of stuff.
I'm just the kind of person that will accidentally forget, and then all of a sudden I'm paying for it, and then
I usually cancel it immediately. You cancel it and then you have it for the rest of the month.
Yeah, but like if Severance is going to go on for another few seasons, like I'd want to wait to cash out my free.
Yeah.
There's going to be probably a year in between. You guys, do you need $15? I can lend it. I can give it to you if you want.
That's okay. I'm too busy watching the L Word anyway. So.
Oh, okay.
Oh, that's a throwback.
The newest season? Didn't they come out with a new season?
Oh, did they really?
The L Word?
Yeah, I think so.
Really? I don't know. I'm just watching.
They reboot that?
I haven't ever seen it until now, so I'm just watching like old season 3 or whatever. It's from a while ago.
Yeah, it's from like the early 2000s, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
Megan watched it. I caught a few episodes. I liked it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
I played Night Manor on the UFO 50 collection. I loved that one. Did you play that one, Fisher?
Oh, yeah.
Is that like a point-and-click adventure one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I started that. That's cool. Yeah.
What is this? I don't even know what this is.
It had...
It's on UFO 50. Do you know that game?
It fully embraced the point-and-click design in that there are a couple solutions where there's only one solution and you need that to continue the story forward.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely had some frustrating moments of trying everything on everything.
Me too.
Yeah.
Me too.
The and I think there's been point-and-click adventures in like the last decade that have kind of solved that problem or like give you multiple ways to like find a solution or ways to kind of hint or nudge. And like this takes a more old school approach, but I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Yeah, there's definitely frustrations, but like cool. Cory, you got to check out UFO 50.
Man,
amazing.
I guess I'm just crazy. But yeah,
you are crazy. I can't believe
one of the only games we talked about.
Yeah, we talk about it tons. It was Fisher and I's game of the year last year.
Oh my gosh.
Thing of the year, actually. And finally, this game I'm so hyped for. They shadow dropped the demo for Monster Train 2. And
did they really?
Yeah, Monster Train.
The demo is so good. At first, it looks like it's kind of more of the same, but it just feels so fresh and exciting, and I love it. I love the demo.
Nice.
If you've never played the first one, just play the demo for the new one. It's only like a couple hours worth of game time. I love Monster Train, guys. Come on, someone else play it. It's so good.
Monster Train.
Yeah, have you tried it, Cory?
I have played Monster Train. Yeah, it's good.
I love it.
Do you want me to play that first or Prince of Persia first?
Oh, definitely Monster Train.
Okay.
Yeah, it's so good. It doesn't get enough love. All right, that's what I'm into. Oh, we're going long, actually. Kids table. Okay. We're going long, everybody. Keep that in mind. We want to be done in the next 10. Can we do that?
Oh, my gosh. Okay.
Oh, the next 10. Oh, geez. All right.
15. Okay.
Well, I'll just say for
Okay.
everyone, I didn't add anything. I'm not into anything. Sorry.
Nothing? Just
Yeah.
say what it is.
I can't think
Nothing.
of anything that I'm
Wow. Just doing work and life.
Do you wanna talk, Evan? Is everything okay?
into. I don't know what it is. I just
touch your video games.
No,
yeah,
I get it.
sometimes it just happens. So
Hmm.
All right. That's good. Cool. Thanks, Evan.
yeah.
I'll go next.
Yeah.
I don't have much either, honestly. I was playing a lot of stuff, and then I kind of a lot of RuneScape.
Well, we haven't seen you in a long time. What
I know.
have you
but
been enjoying eating lately or munching on?
Oh man, my
Yeah, what was your thing of the year last year?
Thing of
Corey?
the year
my
last year.
thing
There
of
you
the
go.
year last year. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh my
RuneScape.
gosh. No, I don't know. I've been really getting back into watercolor. That's like my thing right now.
Cool.
Doing a lot of
Oh,
drawing
that's
and
cool.
watercolor, and then so that's like the thing I'm into because I'm trying to play less RuneScape and other things like that. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, and then I started buying Yu-Gi-Oh cards again, which is a problem. But
We have a card game, Corey. It's
I
called
know,
Aidalon.
I know. I don't know why I did it. I was like, yeah,
We're talking about it next Tuesday.
I know.
Oh, Fisher, like you're one to talk about buying card games.
Yeah.
Listen, it's on
research.
purpose.
Yeah.
Research.
It's research. But yeah, no, I haven't been doing too much, honestly.
Fantastic.
Well, I'll take Evan and Corey's time.
Okay, cool. Yeah. What are you
Yes,
excited
take it.
about?
Well, I have a trip to Germany coming up, which is super exciting. So yeah, that's next week. So I'm extremely anxious. It's a 10-hour flight, and I'm on economy. So woo, that'll be fun.
Oh, you're tiny.
But also I'm gonna be so bored. I'm gonna bring so many books. But anyway,
Sehr schön. Sehr schön.
I'll suggest Gravity's Rainbow.
Gravity's Rainbow.
Infinite
I will write
Jest
that down.
Infinite Jest, one of those two.
or In Peace.
Is this a real suggestion or is this you being funny?
I don't know. I mean, it might
Ulysses.
definitely last the whole plane ride.
Yeah.
Okay.
You won't understand anything.
Challenge accepted. But yeah, that also there was an update to Hades 2 that just dropped like last week. So I've been playing that again because I'll basically just play that every time there's an update until the version 1.0, and then I'll actually play through it. But the big thing for me is a game called Lost Records, which is on PlayStation Plus. But I just couldn't get it, even if it wasn't on PlayStation Plus. It's made by Don't Nod, which are the same people who made Life is Strange, which is one of my favorite games of all time.
I almost got it just because the logo is so
really?
cool.
Yeah, the logo is super cool. It's very similar to Life is Strange in a lot of ways. So like if you played Life is Strange and you're not into it, you're not gonna like this game either. But it's it plays kind of like a movie. It's about these 4 girls in the summer of 1995, and like something happens, and they're being very coy about what the thing that happened is. Like, I don't even know what it is yet. I'm only a few hours in. And then they time skip to like present day, and they're having like a reunion to talk about the thing that happened in the summer of 95. And it's like, oh, what happened? Like, this big mystery. Like, I want to know what happened. And there's some kind of creepy stuff too. It's pretty cool. It doesn't have as big of a supernatural twist as, at least so far, as Life is Strange does, where Life is Strange within the first
It's pretty big.
within the first 20 minutes you have time travel powers. But I did have a moment where so like a big part of the game is you have a camcorder and you can record anything that you want, and you can like record nature or people and like whatever, and then you can go back and review those recordings that you made. And at one point I found a piece of graffiti that says "I'm watching you," and when I started recording it, the whole screen went fuzzy.
Whoa.
and creepy. And then she pulls back the camcorder and she's like, "Ow, my head!" And you're like, "What was that? I want to know what that was about."
Interesting.
So I have to keep playing. I'm probably going to play immediately after I get home from whatever I'm doing tonight. So that's going to be fun.
Sounds like It. Remember in It, stuff happens to the kids in the town of Derry, and then years later they make good on their pact to return.
Yeah. It's
Isn't there
kind of like I don't think this is a full-fledged horror game, but it is similar premise-wise. Yeah.
But there's also that show about like a soccer team or something.
Soccer
that-
team.
They get stranded somewhere.
No.
Yellow Jackets, yeah, is that what it's called?
Oh yeah.
That's,
I know what you're talking
sounds,
about.
I really want to watch that show. I haven't seen that, but that sounds similar to what the premise of Yellow Jackets is, from what I understand.
Yeah, the four girls have a band, and the band is called Bloom and Rage, and they get a package in like the present day that's like for Bloom and Rage. It's like, I remember, like I was there or something like that, and that's the big mystery is like what happened. So
I know what you
I'm
did last
excited.
summer.
I'm going to talk more about this game
Cool.
in the future.
I'm
for
into
sure.
it.
While you were talking, I started downloading it on Steam.
Heck yeah.
The original creators of Life is Strange,
Yeah.
was basically an instant buy for me.
And it's especially because I was so disenfranchised by Double Exposure, which is the latest Life is Strange game, because Chloe's not in it. And Chloe is like my favorite character. And it's also like, how could you write Chloe out of a Life is Strange game? I'm so mad. So now I'm like, I'll go back to the original creators. Yeah.
I wondered why it said original creators.
I hope it's...
Yeah, Life is Strange 2 and True Colors and all the other ones that came after that, I think, were made by a different development team.
All right. Fisher, wind us down. What you like.
All right. Well, to keep in the brief instruction, I just have a sound effect. That is what I've been into lately.
That's it?
Let me see if I can get it on my microphone.
Ooh.
Oh, yeah.
I can't
kinda
quite
hear
pick
it.
it up, but yeah.
Is that picking up? I don't
What
know
I-
if the mic's getting the
Double cherry,
The clicky
whatever.
clack.
What are those?
So they're Gatoron Jade magnetics are the switches.
Ooh.
Of his keyboard he's holding up. He's
I
holding.
need to hear your switches.
If
Mechanical
it's not
keyboard.
picking up here, I can really hammer on it, but
I like how it
There we go.
sounds.
it's yeah. So like for convoluted reasons, I won't get super into. I needed a keyboard. And like I've watched like the whole keyboard hobby evolve, and I've normally used my laptop, but I needed a keyboard primarily for when I play games because I couldn't use my laptop keyboard anymore, and so I decided to build one, and I went with Wooting is this company that make Hall effect keyboards, so all of the keys have Hall effect sensors in them, so the software knows exactly how far the key is pressed down. It's not just a binary pressed. It can like tell exactly how much it's depressed, so the main consumers for this are like real sweaty gamers who like play Valorant with hyper precision because there's all sorts of tricks you can do where it counts as if you start lifting the key and then start pressing it again, even if it hasn't fully lifted, it counts as being pressed in that moment, and other tricks like that. And so I didn't really like that. Might help me out a little, but I'm not good enough at those games for that to matter. In the end, I really like the analog input and some of the things you can like map it to racing games, or you can map it to like analog movement in games. So if I just push down W a little, I only creep forward and things. So that seemed cool. And then I got special like custom orders, special switches to make the sound just right and stuff.
Is there a wrist strap on there?
Yeah, it's Wooting's like brand thing is they've got these.
Oh, that's weird.
Huh.
Yeah.
So you can
That's
play Wii
funny.
games and not.
Huh? yeah. So you don't throw your keyboard. I thought it was. You can just like run it without it, but I thought it was kind of cool. So
Yeah.
I kept it on there.
I mean, I'm a mechanical keyboard guy. If I can, tiny. Mine's tiny.
Oh, you got a tiny guy.
Yeah.
I have a
Oh,
tiny
wow.
keyboard.
But it's,
I have an enormous keyboard.
I'm curious.
I was already
layers.
questioning the 60% because it doesn't have an F row. You have to use a function key for the
I
F
have
row.
a huge one.
Yeah, this is a 40%, and it's ortholinear. And I
Hold up
used
your
to
keyboards,
use
every nerd.
the Workman layout, but I switched
Look
back
at that
to QWERTY.
spacebar.
I know it's got layer
Oh.
switches.
Spacebar's tiny.
Oh my god, yeah, tiny. It's got a
Evan just has the OEM.
See, I have to get like one with a number pad. I just can't have a
Yeah.
keyboard without a
Yeah.
number pad.
Same.
well.
Same.
So I have a thing. If I press this with my thumb, these become a numpad. So it's like
that. Oh, that's too much for me.
it's fucking cool.
That's too much. Of course, that's such a Cory thing too.
I know it is. I used to use it. Yeah.
I just like my keyboard because it has like pink flames in the under the LEDs or whatever.
Why don't you hold it up? Everyone's held up their keyboard.
Yeah, mine.
Oh,
yeah, lights up.
For crying out loud.
Yeah. Lighten up.
Yeah.
I
That's
just
cool.
see that it's like the
it's
light
kinda
is moving.
flickering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's very the pink flames is very on brand.
It's very me.
it's
yeah.
very cool.
I have a motif.
I hate to take up more time, but I did think of my favorite thing of last year. Because you asked, is I don't think it's from last year, but I watched it last year. Is Hundreds of Beavers.
Oh yeah, I want to see that.
I've heard of this. I've heard
The
of
movie
this.
My
100.
dad watched that movie while he was here, and it looked so weird.
It is incredible. It is so
Yeah.
good. It's everything I love about filmmaking, and it's like just. As someone who's made a bunch of stuff in After Effects, it's very much just like a couple dudes from Wisconsin making a movie with mascot suits in After Effects. And it's really good. It's like legitimately incredible.
Cool.
Go see it.
I think it's free on YouTube if you have YouTube Premium.
It's also, I think, on Amazon
Nice.
Prime or Amazon, Amazon, whatever.
And it's also, I think, on Freevee and Tubi. And
Hundreds of
Zippy.
Beavers.
Hundreds of Beavers.
All right, Anders, I think we got you there in time.
All right.
Yeah, that was like 11 minutes.
Thanks for listening, everybody. That was fun. That was really fun.
Yeah, thank you for joining us for the kids table.
Yeah.
For the kids, the basement treadmill.
Sorry, Daddy.
We'll know if Andrew listened to the end of the episode.
Oh my God.
I guess you did call him that earlier.
Can we title it that? What would he think?
No,
Sorry, Daddy.
We can't.
Don't think
I
so.
don't know if I want daddy in the title of the
I know.
podcast
Something
episode.
with the word daddy.
Yeah, I don't know what that'll do to us in the algorithm.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for joining us, everybody. See you in 2 weeks. Bye.
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 I